Kenyan legislator tells VOA final debate on proposed amendments of Kenya's draft constitution will begin in Parliament today. Constitutional reform has been a major issue since the nation gained independence. In 2003, the government promised a new constitution in 100 days, but 7 years later, Kenyans are still waiting. If the proposed amendments are not accepted, the draft will be endorsed the way it is, with a referendum to follow. VOA's Sisco has more.
Kenya was considered one of the most stable countries in Africa. That ended in December 2007 when disputed elections triggered widespread violence, claiming hundreds of lives. In early 2008, Kenyan rivals Mwai Kibaki and Raila Odinga signed a political pact, ending the turmoil. The new unity government left Mr. Kibaki the presidency and gave Mr. Odinga a newly created prime minister post. They agreed to reforms and to draft the new constitution. Former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, who mediated the power-sharing agreement, described the partnership this way.
I think the Kenyan partners have been working reasonably well. There are tensions. You have tensions in every government, even if they come from the same party. So they need to be mature enough to work out their differences and focus on the needs of the people and the country. I think they have agreed to implement major reforms. I believe if they work together to implement these reforms, they will put Kenya on a very strong footing and prepare it for a better future.
But Kenya's political partnership has often been described as strained, even deadlocked. With little movement on promised efforts to prosecute those involved in the violence of 2007, optimism has waned. U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says Kenyans deserve better.
The United States worked hard last year with Kofi Annan and the team of African eminent persons to support the Kenyan people to resolve the crisis that afflicted this country. Unfortunately, resolving that crisis has not yet translated into the kind of political progress that the Kenyan people deserve.
In October, former UN Secretary General Annan said this:
Kenyans are concerned that the window of opportunity to deliver reform is rapidly closing. Kenya cannot afford recurrence of the crisis and the violence that engulfed it after the 2007 elections. I have heard the demands from Kenyans that their government bring to justice those responsible for the post-election violence.
At the reopening of Parliament last month, President Kibaki said the grand coalition government is moving forward.
Kenyans should trust the leadership of the country and abandon the temptation to look externally or for solutions that can easily be found locally.
But Kenyans have heard this kind of talk before and are frustrated.
What we are seeing is actually the big guys in their parties who are actually fighting against one another. But the game plan is that people are actually scheming for the 2012 elections, which is still far away, and it's the common man down here who is actually feeling the pinch.
So we wonder, is there a government in place or not? And insecurity is soaring, corruption in the cabinet is soaring, and it looks like ODM and PNU are simply camps of protecting the corruption amongst themselves.
Registration of new voters began last week. Kenyans should vote on a new constitution by June. The next presidential and parliamentary election is scheduled for 2012. Paul Sisco, VOA News.